Remy and motherfucking Papoose. They were solid.
I think Papoose is probably like a beta male. And then she wanted somebody who was a little more alpha than his beta was.
I think he was doing all the things that we would want a man to do.
And so by all accords, he was what we asked for, and she shitted all over that.
You don't want to see black love played out like this. You know what I'm saying? Two people, two adults should be able to amicably move on. Now, you know who I am mad at, though, to be honest with you? Remy and motherfucking Papoose. Okay? I am mad at both of them because I thought better of both of them. I think many of us thought better than that because, oh my God, what happened to black love? Just like almost like my voice. What the fuck happened to it? Right? Because they were solid. Or so we thought until recently, where all of these receipts, I don't know, to feel like, were they a fraud this entire fucking time? Or was this a really great relationship that went horribly bad? Like, what the fuck? They put us in the group chat unnecessarily. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I didn't know Pap's music a lot, but I felt like he would stand up. Remy, I mean, you know, I leaned back off of her for the last few years. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say, y'all. What's your thoughts on this, man? Black love, black fake black love? I don't even know.
It's like a bad workplace romance, man. Wasn't he like a battle rapper before he was like whatever? Isn't she like the promoter of battle rappers and stuff? I think it's a bad work.
No, he was more than just a battle rapper. He was signed back in the day. His career kind of stalled a little bit, but
he became a battle rapper.
Well, no, the new dude that she's with, I think
he's
is the battle rapper. Sure. But I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So my point. So I reason why I confused him with the battle rapping crowd, which is not a bad crowd, a lot of talented people there, is because I do recall when the story first broke, because somebody went off on the guy who was sleeping with Remy Ma about the situation. That's how it all, hit the fan or whatever. And I think Papoose wasn't that far off when the situation was blowing. Anyway, so I'm assuming he stood there quietly and he knew it was bad and he just stayed in it, which is kind of what I'm reading from as I'm looking over the relationship and the receipts. It's a lot. Honestly, I can't process it all. I just go in, look a little bit, give me a little grab and go. The gist of it, I think, is this. I think that Papoose is and man, I ain't gonna have no friends as I do this. I think Papoose is probably like a beta male, right? He's a beta, and then Remy Ma is more like a little alpha. You know what I'm saying? He was content with that, and then she wanted somebody who was a little more alpha than his beta was. And I don't know if this dude fit the bill, but she went and started tricking off. She wasn't really impressed by his manlyhood, and she wasn't really moved and felt like she needed to stay and respect him or be subjective or whatever, be submissive or whatever. So then he goes and finds another alpha female. Clearly, Clarissa Shields is nobody's beta anything, right? And he found somebody who could whoop Remy Ma, who probably looking at him and looking at her, she might have been beating him up. I know I got a lot of things in there that ain't nobody proving, but just when I look at him, is what I see. I see a man who looked like he'd been abused, and now he's in a better relationship with somebody that can protect him and make him feel secure. And so,
wow.
I didn't like the way Remy emasculated him, even though I'm kind of doing the same thing right now in a joking way. But, I think that kind of suggests to me what the tone was in their relationship, right? Her level of respect. Now, I know what you're saying. When people fall apart, they get disrespectful. They get flip out the mouth. They say stuff, this and this and that. I will add to that, though, when adults fall apart, if they ever loved each other, they should still be able to respect each other. But they never respected each other. That's what comes out the first when they start to separate. I think that's what we're seeing here. It's a dearth of respect. And I think he had enough and he moved on to somebody he thought would give him that. And you know what I'm saying? If I had to choose 22, I'd probably take Clarissa too. Because, she cleaned up well and she can fight. So, you know what I'm saying? Now we in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Dare you to say something. What? So go ahead.
Not you saying that he basically was weak and he needed a woman to fight his old woman. He needed her battle skills. That's messed up.
That is messed up.
That's messed up.
You wouldn't say it to Papoose face.
Because I was going to say...
I wouldn't say it to Clarissa's face.
You would say, oh, that's crazy. You wilding out for real now.
It's just Jay. It's just Jay on all socials, Mr. Goodwoods. Yeah, go ahead.
Give him the smoke. We ain't want none of this smoke. Because, he did throw them hands on, what's his name? Captain Easy or Easy the Captain or whatever the battle rapper name was. Yeah, he threw hands then. He was like, you disrespected me. And so he apparently was down for the clown right then. So I think that I'm disappointed because, and I know it's weird that I'm disappointed because normally celebrity relationships, they come and go and so forth. But this was sold as the grand love story of a lifetime. And it was sold as a story. And the reason why I like this story was because usually it's the woman holding the man down, putting money on the man books when the man go to prison. And instead, we got an example of a man holding the woman down. For 8 years, he held her down. And then he get out. And before she even gets out, they get married on the phone. They have an incarceration marriage via the phone. I don't know how that worked, if it was three-way calling or what they did with, if it was a conference call in the courtroom. I don't know. But anyways, it's just the fact that this was an awesome love story. And you know what I think went wrong? When they went on Love and Hip Hop. I think whoever goes on any reality show, if there's any cracks in your marriage, that reality show is going to go ahead and just right through there. Just going right through there. And so I'm sad to see that it has gotten down to where it is now, where they're trading jabs, and it has come out, according to him, that she's been cheating the entire relationship, to include her gay for play while she was in prison. Apparently she had a girlfriend, allegedly, and now it's just all this stuff that's coming out that he was not happy. And then Remy stating that they haven't been together actually since 2022. They just kept up to the appearances. And so it kind of reminded me of like when Jada was like, hey, Will and I haven't been together for over 10 years. And it was like, what? Well, but we knew something, because you couldn't be having some young buck in your house and he's singing songs about him slapping them cheeks. And, so we knew something was there. But anyway, so with Papoose and Remy, I'm just sad to see that it went this way. And I truly believe that Love and Hip Hop was like the beginning of the downhill for them. And as she continued to blow up and he continued to fade into the background, because like he was a loving father. He was the primary caretaker for the child, right? For their daughter. And it was like, oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. He recognized his traditional role, or not his non-traditional role, not traditional, but his non-traditional role technically. And that's why when you shout out the fact that she was an alpha female, by all accounts, by him playing this role, I think they was redefining gender roles and everything. So I was all for the story. And to hear everything that's happening out now, it's like, oh, this is sad. And it's not just sad because they're trading, shots at each other and coming to blows, but it's because it was all a lie. It's basically what it sounds like now. It was all a lie. And so for people who hold celebrities up to a certain esteem and whatnot, I think that it just disillusioned more folks, because this was the so-called love story of a lifetime, and boom, nothing.
So I got to first push back on this alpha beta narrative, because I don't think that's what's happening here. And I'm also pushing back because there's many men who are in support of a wife who may be further in her career or doing certain things. And so when people say, oh, Black men aren't willing to do certain things around the home or whatever, or take care of the kids, and then you have a guy who's done that, then I mean, I want to focus on that more so, because I do think we run the risk of making it seem like men who are willing to take on certain roles, that automatically makes it seem like they're being a beta. Now, for anybody who's followed Papoose, right, at least in terms of how he's moved through the streets or in hip hop or whatever, I don't know that people would assume that he's a beta in that way, right? And I think he's one of those guys that tends to garner respect amongst men in his peer group, at least the way that I've seen people speak of him. So I don't know that that's necessarily relevant here, also because I try to understand where people are coming from. I think it's easy to lead with judgment because these are things that most of us would say that we would not do, right? But you also got to remember that Remy did spend years in prison. People go to jail and they come out differently, right? And they aren't the only ones who are affected by their incarceration, right? You have the people who are also on the outside. And so I'm sitting here trying to make sense of it all. And I do think I kind of have a little picture in my head of a man, I'm going to start with him, who kind of committed himself to a relationship. And I think in committing himself to a relationship, he had principles that believe a stand-up person, a stand-up man. Yes, I know who I'm getting with. Yes, I'm marrying this woman who shot her friend, allegedly, right? Or I guess not, because she was convicted for it. She spent X amount of time in prison. I know what she had to go through. So yes, she had to do some things with some other women or whatever. I understand all that. So she comes out of prison and I'm going to love her. And we're going to work through our issues until we're not, right? And so I do think sometimes people get committed not just to the relationship, but the idea of the relationship. And so when they had the whole Black love, that was a brand thing. That wasn't just something they were saying flippantly. That was something that I think Papoose was actively leading. And so I think for him, he had this vision, like we say we want men to have, like, vision of, okay, when she gets out of prison, we'll get her career back on track. He was alleging that he helped her with her music, right? You know what I mean? Had the reality show on deck. I get your point, S&M. I probably kind of agree with you in general. But for him, he's like, yo, we're going to put this brand together. We're going to have the golden child. So, I mean, I think he was doing all the things that we would want a man to do necessarily. Now, at some point in time, if she wasn't about that life anymore, or if something happened or something changed, we can surmise, right? Then that's cool. And then maybe for him, now he's stuck trying to figure out what he's going to do. He got a kid, he got a business they're trying to build. So in his mind, he's like, yo, maybe I can just amicably believe we can back up off this. But the truth is, to Jay's point earlier, this became public because she was out here moving recklessly, right? And so I think a lot of times if the roles were flipped, it was a dude that was out here moving recklessly and then leaving the situation behind, we would judge it differently. But I guess because Papoose is the one on the other end, we can look at it a certain type of way. And I think it was funny because I was having this conversation actually yesterday, that people were like, well, why should we give him grace? I mean, please point out to me what you thought he should have done differently if in his mind he was being a stand-up nigga, right? If in his mind, for the most part, he has been a stand-up nigga, right? And I think it's okay for if a stand-up nigga gets ran over by a chick who has not been so stand-up, then that could be the case. I don't know if that's the case here. Then it's okay to point out the fact that, hey, she's a wild-ass motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Without it necessarily having to, emasculate him or take away from his alpha male position. Now, would I be in that situation? I would hope not. But I just try to understand how people arrive to it. I do think there's lessons that we can learn, that sometimes when you mix your business with your relationship, that sometimes you find yourself staying a lot longer because you have more entangled and more invested. I think that could be a part here. And at some point, something went really, really wrong, because the way she's responding tells me that he has some culpability in regards to how things have been handled up to this point. And in that case, I think there's some responsibility on both sides for sure. But this is just sad because you don't want to see Black love played out like this. You know what I'm saying? Two adults should be able to amicably move on and find a way to just move on and cherish the love that they had and let that love show. Because to me, that would be the time that love needs to show the most. You know what I'm saying? When things are like not the greatest. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I just want to push back on one thing. Like my assertion that he is a beta male is not meant to demean him. There are all sorts of males. There's alphas and betas, and there's even sigmas. You know what I mean? And although we tend to think of them in a hierarchy, they're just the different ways that you present. Sometimes a man likes to play Batman to Robin to his woman's Batman. You know what I mean? And that's okay, because they still out there solving their crimes and doing what they got to do. You know what I mean? So all respect. I personally am not an alpha man. I am, by divine nine, standards, but not by whatever. I think if I was to clarify myself, I'd be a Sigma. And that's definitely not a fraternity I joined. So anyway, long story short, no shade to Papoose for being a beta. Any of you betas out there, you know what I mean? Hey, I don't think it's a hierarchy. We just move different. And that's good. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say that I actually wasn't demeaning. I was saying that he took on these non-traditional roles in the way the society is set up. That was actually giving kudos to him. That's why I was upset with the way the relationship played out, because this dude was upstanding by all accords, right? And he did the things that most folks don't do, or some folks, because you said that there are more who do, so that some folks don't do, but he did it in the public eye. And that's why I loved about it. And that's why it was this great love story that ended up going into these jabs between each other. And I'm going to say Remy was wrong. Like, I thought Remy was wrong from the start, because she was moving recklessly and she got with somebody who didn't know the rules. I'm going to call it the rules, because he put it on Front Street at a battle that he was basically slamming the boss. So I just think that, I just wanted to clarify that I do believe he deserves grace, because he was doing these things. I actually believe 100% that Remy is at fault in this relationship and the way it turned out. And while he may have, and I'm going to say that he may have responsibility in how she may have been moving, right, in regards to if there was some drama or static behind the scenes and whatnot that we're not aware of. But in the court of public opinion, This dude was everything that most Black women in particular asked for. He was supportive. He had the vision. He was uplifting. He was a full-time father. As far as when I say full-time, it's because he was everybody, Black fathers, I want to go ahead and put that out there, are more involved in the child's life when they're in the child's life. But in his case, he was the primary caretaker. And so by all accords, he was what we asked for, and she shitted all over that. And that's where my problem was.
Well, so, okay, so I'm just push back slightly, right? Because I do get your point in regards to non-traditional or traditionally men didn't move a certain type of way, but it's not like he out here cooking and necessarily just cleaning. I mean, he got a couple of dollars and he has support when it comes to taking care of his kids. So I don't want to go too far in regards to painting it out to make it seem like he's a single dad taking care of all his responsibilities of the home and all of that, right? It's a different kind of life, right? So that's just want to say that. That's number one. Number two, I still got to push back on the beta thing. I'm not saying that it's an issue with being a beta. I'm saying that I think if he was still leading, right, that wouldn't make him a beta. If he was still the one that's pushing forth the narrative, he was the one that was pushing forth the branding, if he was the one that was pushing for the reality show deals, if he was the one that was basically managing, et cetera, like that doesn't mean to me, that wouldn't be a beta. To me, a beta is somebody who's more passenger seat. You know, he has a high-strung, hyperactive person, and that person's constantly leading, and that person's in the hey, I'm here for the ride, whatever you want, babe. Matter of fact, Kamala husband was a beta, right? Kamala Harris's husband. I don't get that. That to me was beta. So I'm not saying that, there's a difference and that there's a judgment there. I'm just saying I don't think Papoose was that because I feel like there was more there. The other thing I want to push back on too is because Clarissa, you mentioned Clarissa, like just because she's a boxer doesn't mean that like she doesn't submit, bro. Like just because she comes across a certain type of way, I get how it is so easy for us to look at her and be like, and think she's a certain thing. But as a Black man who has dealt with women who come across a certain type of way and seen them be completely the opposite, I'm here to tell you, my brother, it is completely possible that he's still an alpha in that relationship too, right? Because in the relationship context, women be looking for a strong enough dude to submit to. And I got to tell you that I do believe that she feels like she found a dude strong enough to submit to. Because Clarissa does not give me the type of energy that she just want to be hard all the time or that she would be with a soft ass nigga. You dig what I'm saying? I don't get that from her. But I see how we can look at that and be like, oh, okay. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes we as people do make judgments, right? I mean, to be honest, we gave Remy a lot of grace. Like, what exactly did she do since we've known her to show us for her to be a certain type of way, right? She shot her friend supposedly over a couple $1,000s. She spent some prison time doing that, right? She had a couple of hits lean back. And so now all this dirty laundry is coming out. And while it makes them both look bad, right? But it definitely makes her look horrible because, again, what else do we have from her to show like, oh, at least she got some banging albums, right? I mean, she got a couple of great singles. You know what I'm saying? So I get, and it's funny because when I watch her videos, I get that she is hurt. I think emotionally, she is the one lashing out. Because, you can tell when a woman's lashing out, when they be looking for a reason to lash out. Like, let that girl say my name. Bitch, she didn't even say nothing negative for real. You was just looking for a reason to pop off while claiming you've moved on. Right? Which is what's also befuddling to me, right? So we're seeing this toxic bullshit being played out in real time, and it's making them both look bad. But I will say this, though. We got to stop putting our little baskets into these fake Black love shits, right? Because they get exposed sometimes. So I think we can mythically believe in Black love, right? Or through our own self-expression. But pinning it on people who are human beings, especially celebrities, especially C-list, D-list celebrities going through, what they're going through, man, yeah. I think we can back up off that once and for all. What say y'all?
I'm laughing because you downgraded them from B to C to D.
Yes, he did. He did.
I was like, Nick throwing some shade there.
I mean, if battle rap is your claim to fame at this point, and I mean more so for Remy than Papoose, then what are we talking about?
Well, we do have another D-list celebrity on the docket then.
Hey, we'll call this episode the D-list.